All right, so here we go. This is the truth about bodybuilding part 1. So far, there's 3 parts to this series, but who knows? There'll probably be a lot more by the time I get through these first 3. This first piece, part 1, is about how you have to be obsessed in order to pull off to actually stand on stage, look like you belong there. You literally have to be obsessed. And I want to talk to this for a second because I didn't know this going in, and I'm a fitness professional. And so most of you guys who are listening and watching, you're unaware of this as well. And the problem is that the fitness industry pushes this image on us as guys, which is like that magazine cover model, shredded, glowing, radiant six-pack abs, just perfect pecs, shoulders, the whole 9 yards, right? And then there's the tagline next to that image that says, how to have a six-pack, do these 3 simple exercises 15 minutes a day, and you'll look like this. And we buy the lie, because how amazing would that be if it was true? Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that it's not. And now, having gone through the process, not only of getting myself in fantastic shape by general population standards, but also having recently completed bodybuilding prep and standing on stage and becoming one of the 1%, like the elite who can say that they've done that, I gotta tell you, it's way, 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 way more work than you think, than I thought. And I don't think, well, that's just an inconvenient truth that most in the fitness industry don't want you to hear. And so I'm here to talk about it. And throughout the course of this the Truth About Bodybuilding series videos that I'm about to shoot, I will probably ruffle some feathers, and my bodybuilding coach may or may not approve of what I'm saying. And so I want to preface this by saying that whatever my opinions are about bodybuilding, which were preconceived notions before, but now are based in actual experience, I am really glad that I did this. I'm really glad that I committed to doing a show. I'm really glad that I put myself through the process. I learned so much, and it's enriched my life and my coaching so greatly. And so I don't want to detract from or take away from that reality at all. And the whole reason that I did it, that I wanted to do it, that I saw the value in the extreme amount of sacrifice that it ended up requiring, is because I wanted to be able to speak to what's actually involved, the good, the bad, and the ugly at a much more intimate level. Because most of you guys have no aspirations of standing on stage and doing a bodybuilding competition. However, you would like to look good, and you would like to feel good about how you look. We all want confidence, and confidence is really important. Confidence is important for achieving what you want to achieve in your business. It's important for showing up how you want to show up for your wife and kids. It's important for just your general ability to become your highest self and make what you want to make out of life. And because confidence is an energy that draws things to you, people, resources, opportunities. And so we all need it. And we all need true confidence. What we don't need, and what we find all too often, is this artificially inflated false bravado that you guys know what I'm talking about. You can already think of one person that personifies this machismo, this fake it till you make it, except you never really made it because you just spent all your energy faking it all the time type guy. And it's repulsive. No one wants to be around that guy. And yet we all find ourselves on some level being that guy. And that's why we find it so repulsive, because deep down there's a part of me that's doing the same thing, and I don't like that part of me. And so we want to look good, we want to have confidence, but there's 1,001 things to do in your day, and you don't know how you're going to make fitness fit in. Or maybe you are coming to the gym and you did put in the effort to make a consistent habit out of coming to the gym, but you're not really getting the results because you're spending the time to actually do the exercises, but you're not spending the time that it takes to actually learn what exercises you should be doing or how to do the exercises that you are doing in order to get the actual benefit. Same thing on the nutrition side. Yeah, you're eating food. Yeah, you're trying to make healthy choices. However, are you putting in the effort to continually refine the foods that you're eating so that they align with your body's needs more closely, and so that they contain micronutrients that your body craves more abundantly? That takes effort, or it takes guidance, right? And it takes somebody who's been on this path and is well ahead of you and has helped other people like you achieve the same thing, to break it down in a way that's relevant and that you can take measured action steps on a consistent basis. That's a different story. I want to talk about the truth about bodybuilding as it's almost like a caricature, right? And it's such a compelling, it obviously is a caricature. Like the amount of muscle that these guys have is superhuman, literally. It's superhuman. And part 3 of this series is how everybody in bodybuilding is on drugs, and that's how they can achieve a superhuman physique. But again, that's a story for another day. We're in part 1. And so let's just talk about, let's put the drugs aside for a second. And let's just talk about the amount of effort it requires, which is something that I was not prepared for. Because when I got into this, you could objectively say that I spent a lot of time and effort taking care of myself. I go to the gym every day. I meal prep. I eat clean foods. I've been tracking my macros for years. I've enjoyed, visible abs, sub 10% body fat since I can remember, most of my adult life. It wasn't always the case. And that the ability to maintain that consistently was born out of not enjoying it automatically. I had to fight for what I earned. And that's why it stuck, because what I achieved was so valuable to me. But the amount of effort that I was putting in to maintain 3.8 to 6% body fat, according to the InBody, which is not that accurate. Let's call it 10 to 12%, realistically. Pales in comparison to the amount of effort it took to get me down to 7.6 per the DEXA scan that I did. 7.6% body fat. And that's where I ended up when I measured on during peak week, 4 days out from my show. Having a life is not conducive to competing in bodybuilding. Did one competition, and I haven't competed at any moderate to high level in any other sport, so I don't have a lot to compare this to. However, from what I've heard, bodybuilding is not a sport as much as it is an obsession. It's an obsession. Your life has to revolve around how you're going to look on stage 10 months from now, 5 months from now, 12 weeks from now, whatever that deadline is that you're working towards. And it's insane how totally that occupies one's consciousness. It was all I thought about. And I have 3 kids. And looking back on it, the price they paid, the sacrifice that I made, and not just in terms of the amount of extra time it takes to do the workouts and do the cardio and do the meal prep, which is much more onerous than I was doing before, much more specific and much more titrated. I just had so little energy. That was the hardest part, because the bodybuilding is controlled starvation at the end of the day. And that's I'll get into this more in part 2 of the series, which is that bodybuilding is not actually healthy, no matter what anyone says. Nikki, I'm sorry. You told me it's not that unhealthy, except for a show day. I beg to differ. And I'll get into more about why I think that in part 2. But for now, I just want to bring home the idea that, there's light at the end of the tunnel. This isn't actually this isn't all bad news. Because, like I said, in order to get down to 7.6% body fat on the DEXA scan, I had to put in an inordinate amount of effort and sacrifice, and I had no energy. Libido was just crushed into nothingness for months, and I was irritable. It was just not fun to be around. I was able to kind of sew things together here at work and my coaching. However, that's the best, the most energized part of the day, and I poured my heart out and energy out into my coaching, and then I would get home and I would just crash. And so I want to highlight the fact that that's the reality of what it takes to look like the 1% or the 0.1%, really. Somebody told me that there's more millionaires out there than there are guys with a 6-pack, and I believe that. Or that it's harder to get a 6-pack than it is to make $1 million. Some to that effect, and I believe that. And so then to go take it even a step further and say that I'm gonna compete on a bodybuilding stage and get just sick shredded requires exponentially more effort in order to achieve. And no one talks about that. No one talks about how it is with everything else that matters that you could be working towards in your life, growing your business, raising your kids, just trying to actually enjoy itself. There's a lot that you can learn from bodybuilding. And again, like I said, I would never, if I had the chance to do this all again, I would, because of what I learned. And for me, as it applies to my ability to coach other people, other guys who want to look good and feel great, but it has diminishing returns outside of that context, in my opinion. And so at the end of the day, what I want to say is that, yes, while looking like a magazine cover model or a bodybuilder on stage, it requires a degree of obsession and sacrifice and effort that most people, it's not that you can't do it, because you can do anything that you want. The question is, like, does it make sense? Does it make sense for you to do? And the answer is probably not. Doesn't make sense for you. But the good news is that you can look like 90% as good as that. You can have visible abs. Like, you can have that awesome vascularity and like muscle tone and definition and that athletic tapered physique. You can have all of that, and you can put in 30% of the effort. I'm telling you this. You can have 90% of the results and put in 30% of the effort. It's possible. And I understand much more clearly how to do that. That's what I was doing before. That's how I was coaching before. And now I've gone through the process of like getting that last, from 90% to 100%. And now I can understand how to do that even better. And I want to break that down for you guys in future videos. And in the meantime, if you want to check out any other content, please go to barefootbodybuilder.com. There's going to be a blog. There's going to be a podcast. There's going to be links to this YouTube channel, social links. There's going to be a newsletter. And there's also going to be links to a health consulting company that I'm starting called Resilience Health Strategies. And so you'll find all the details there. Let's check it out. And also like, subscribe, comment on this video, please. Comments especially help the algorithm, and we'll get this message and this content and this information out to guys who need to hear what I'm saying and be helped tremendously by it. So please do all that stuff. And remember, work smarter, not harder. You don't have to be obsessed. You don't have to turn your life upside down in order to look good, feel amazing. You just got to know the right steps. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.